Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Chat About Death. It is me, it's Chris, and I will be your host once again for an episode which we haven't actually covered a lot of ground on this topic before. And I was just thinking about it not that long ago about this might actually be something that people out there may have had experiences with. Or know of someone that has had this happen to them. Now, that the subject that we're talking about today is near-death experience. Have you or do you know of anyone that has ever had one of these? I have been personally, I have been close to death about 2 or 3 times, apparently. And that wasn't because of my own doing; it was because of illness, it makes you look at life a little bit more closely than just whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Now, we all have heard stories, through media, obviously, or we've read it in the paper about people that have had near-death experiences and have seen all sorts of things when they've gone, they've left their body. So I think we need to sort of dig a little bit more deeper to that. A lot of people out there have said we don't believe in it. We think that it's just people trying to get a little bit of press coverage or something like that. But there is people out there, and the scientists too have sort of looked at certain things and they've gone, yeah, maybe there is such a thing. Look, it is one of the unknowns, isn't it? Really, we didn't take that journey with that person, so you may have, done this yourself, or know of someone that has done it. So, near-death experiences, obviously, you've been involved in something fairly major, like a trauma of some description, and you have left your body, you've gone to this place, and, a lot of people describe it as a pleasant place, even glorious. And I'm thinking from this world to then move on to something that was the same with all the traumas and wars and things that we have in our society, it'd be like, why don't I just stay on Earth? Like, why don't I just stay there? Because if this is what I'm going to get when I move across, then I want to be back with my family. So I guess there's got to be that, doesn't there? When you think of that, there's got to be something there. People have pictured laying in a bed, their body, their body just sort of coming, like they can actually physically see their earth body laying on that bed, and, floating around, and then go, the classic thing is go to the light, automatically in my head goes to, like a comedy sketch about, go to the light. No, that's the train. No, wrong one, But, that bright light. And apparently, according to a lot of people, that white is brighter than any brightness that we have ever dealt with on Earth. And, it should be. It should be too. It should be different. Look, there was a lady, which I think was over in the US, that she, during childbirth, she could feel herself floating on water. So obviously something was happening during that pregnancy, and maybe she obviously had a medical episode. It was, just going through that stage, or I met Jesus, or I met, another God, or I I met family, and family said to me, "Hey, it's not your time yet. You need to go back." Um, but yeah, that story about childbirth. Obviously, she came through all of that, but it was just that feeling of not being connected to yourself. Um, and they do say that sometimes during our sleep, we do, in one way, leave ourselves and come back. Now, I don't know. I'm only going by what I've heard. But, it's yeah. A lot of people do take on what they hear as well, and until they prove otherwise. So I don't know what your feelings are about it. Um, I guess with near death experiences comes, like we said, a lot of criticism, um, because we read things, we watch things, we go, ah, yeah, what a load of rubbish, But why would someone? And this is just my opinion. This is no one else's. But why would someone go out of their way to tell a story? And I'm talking people that are like 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s years of age, telling stories about their experience. Now, younger folk that may not have such a thing, but that could be possible. Maybe they've got some other illness that is affecting their mind, because we all know what mental health and everything can do to everyone. So, but why would someone in their 60s or 70s be saying mumble jumble if it wasn't some form of fact? And I think they even have, over a period of time, have done the lie test, the things where they strap you up to electrodes and all sorts of things and ask you all these random questions to see if you're lying or not. Um, just thinking of that, how would you be, knowing that you were telling the truth 100%? And then they'd say, have you done this? And you go, no, meaning like, no, you haven't. And then all of a sudden it goes, you lied. Like, you once again, we're going by a machine that tells us that we're doing something wrong. But wow, wouldn't that be an experience? And hopefully none of you have ever had to go through that, unless it was something to do with the law, and you had to provide evidence or to make sure that you weren't, twisting the truth. Yeah. So what do you think? Just thinking ahead is, in your own mind, is what do you think there is if we were to leave our body? Now, a lot of people would state, oh, there would be a lot of religious connection. A hand comes down and God or Jesus or another God will come forward and raise you up. And then some will say it was a beautiful garden or a beautiful waterfall, or, tranquility is probably a good word. The purity, everything's pure. There's no, there's a word. It'll probably come to me, but that pureness, that nothing can trouble you again. And it all, like we were saying, is it all comes down to what you've been taught as an individual. Because if we, and I've said it before, if we looked at a can of Pepsi and we said that's a pair of scissors, that's scissors, all through your life you're going to say that can of Pepsi that we know as a can of Pepsi is apparently a pair of scissors. So we're only going by what our generation has told us, the generation before, and it could be a little bit of Chinese whispers. I'm sure it is, where everything is sort of being twisted to that level. Yeah. So, what do you think is beyond? Like, if you were in that moment, or like we said before, if you had been in that situation, what did you see? Now I know you can't answer because obviously you're listening to this at a later time, but just answer it to yourself. Answer it, say it aloud or in your head or whatever it is. What did you see? And if you were in front of a panel of people and you had to describe that, how do you think you would feel? Is it something? Would you feel comfortable with declaring it, or would you feel uncomfortable? Um, because you know how society is now. Society can be quite cruel too. Um, and back in the day, like you know, we're talking pre-war, if you ever discussed anything that was outside the norm, then you would be locked up in an asylum. And you look at it now and you think a lot of those people just had a lot of trouble or had a lot of behavioral issues. And here we are placing him into that. So, how would you physically feel? I don't know how I would feel. You know, I guess you want to get it out. You want to say, hey, guys, like, you know, we know, and I don't want to keep on going back to the religion line, but we've all been taught somewhere along the line that, and I'll just say for the Christian form, you know, that Jesus will come back. Okay, but has anyone seen Jesus? When is Jesus coming back? Like, um, and it gets like, you know, yeah, it's like, well, when, you know, and then people will get to a level where it's like, oh, well, maybe he's not, you know, and we're only going by word because we haven't experienced it. There is a lot of medical scientists and psych doctors and things like that are trying to dig really deep into this because it has affected the near death experience has affected a lot of people in our world. Um, Now they could have been of a psychic level themselves. Maybe they're digging into an area that they didn't even know existed in themselves. They may have, you know, after this experience, may turn to a religion. They may turn to some form of lifestyle. They may turn, you know, they could be, you know, eating meat and all that, and then turn to be a vegan. They might, you know, like I don't. There's been all sorts of changes, or they'll go out on a health retreat, and it's like that they're being reborn again. It gives them that sense of purpose. And for me personally, everyone I think needs to have a look at our lives and go, what can we make a change in? Now, and you would have heard this in past episodes before. We can only change ourselves. No one else can do that for us. They can guide us, but we as people need to make our own decisions. So, what would it be in your life that you think you would change? Is there something that you go, well, I want to quit drinking, or I want to quit smoking, or I want to quit, you know, overall health, or I want to, you know, I guess all your dreams and your goals, you've got to reassess that. And it's the same with death. We find, and I went through this in my own experience, that you start looking at it and going, okay, so I've had the death of, say, for example, my mum, and my dad and my grandmothers, and I've gone, all right, so I am now going to try to make a difference. I now am going to, and look, I'll tell you now, you get halfway down the journey and you go, you know what, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. But it makes you look at your life a lot closer, um, because you don't know when that day is going to come for you. So that's important as we all move through life that we look at that, you know, pretty closely. And, you know, yeah, like I said, people are only going to change if they change themselves. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you think about it all. It's quite a unique thing. I mean, even people that have well, you know, put my teeth back in, but have gone through surgery and have been anaesthetized and you know, and they've had that feeling that they've left, or they've seen they've seen them operating on them, you know. So I mean that's a bit that's a bit of a troubling thing, and you don't ever, if you ever have to have surgery, you don't ever want to wake up during an operation. That would be the most horrific thing. But there's people out there that have done that, and they've been able to rectify that pretty quick. So yeah, it's very different. Um, so when we're talking about death, we're talking about life. We're talking lots and lots of things go through people's minds, and maybe when something major or a trauma event happens, our mind then goes into overdrive and starts sending images and voices to us as a collection of memory, um, because we or our brain is such a powerful thing. I mean, when you physically see a brain, you think, well, that controls everything. Yeah, it does, and it's actually quite a spongy material. And you think, how does something that looks like a cauliflower um, control us, make us think, make us speak, see everything. Um, how does that do the job that it does? Well, we don't know that because we didn't make it. You know, um, interesting stuff, isn't it? When you think about it, it's yeah. I have the type of mind that sort of thinks, well, why did my hand just do that? Like, I don't remember giving it instruction, or it just flickers and you think, wow, what's happening? What's happening? Well, that's me. That's me anyway. So yeah, near death. And like we said, it transforms a lot of people. It makes everything different in their world. Um, And unfortunately, there's people that have probably gone through that have really wanted to share it, but they weren't able to come back. Um, and I guess that's probably the only thing in our society or in general is we'd all like to know what is over the other side, because, just to have 5 more minutes with someone that's passed, just to communicate. I know 5 minutes isn't a lot. You'd like to have more. But if you had the opportunity of sitting down on the park bench with your loved one and chewing fat about, wow, okay, yes, I miss you, I love you, but please tell me, are you okay? What is it like? Is there such a thing as, not once again the religious side? Is there a heaven? Is there a void? What is there? Um, and you probably have 50,000 questions. You may not even have any questions. All you want to do is hold their hand and give them a squeeze and, tell them that you love them and all that type of stuff. But imagine knowing what was beyond. That would be such a blessing, wouldn't it? For that. So I would, like I said, with my medical thing, I didn't have any of that because I wasn't unconscious or anything like that. It was close, or it could be this or it could be that. And if we don't do this, then this will happen. And, so you really are sort of questioning yourself. Yeah. So what are your thoughts? Tell me. I know you can't, but like, yeah, what do you think? Do you think it's all mumble jumble, or do you think it's real? Um, yeah. Well, there you go. Well, look, it is a very short episode today because I just thought I'm going to come on and I'm going to, you know, share my thoughts anyway today. Yeah. So thank you for listening the last 20 minutes. And it is one of those things that we just don't know, do we? But enjoy what you're about to do or are currently doing. And thank you for listening. And we look forward to tuning in with you another day. Bye for now.